Hey guys, it's your girl, aka Rosarita. And this morning I want to talk about, am I too poor to stay or too broke to leave? Either way, you're in trouble. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but let's get on to brass tacks. Okay, so I always put pen to paper because I like to figure out everything. If you're somewhere, say for instance in an apartment or a home, you may be renting it, you may be buying it. And don't, just because you own a home, you could be in the same predicament because forbearances are due. And people are finding out that they're paying more now than they did when they first bought the home. But let's go back to the rental. So you're in a rental and they've gone up on the rent maybe $75. Okay? Do you stay or do you leave? That's the big question. Put pen to paper. My thing is, sometimes it's better to stay and maybe cut down on your costs to stay. And by that I mean, by the time you rent a truck, you're either going to pay somebody or you're going to have friends move you. And I tell you, that friends moving you stuff, they break up your stuff, because they're not professional movers. And, now your furniture is all nicked up and whatnot. I'm one of them people, my stuff always looks new. So anyway, if I pay to have someone move me, depending on the furniture you have, it could cost you probably what? I haven't moved in forever. Probably 600 maybe or more. Divide that by 12 months. That's $75. You see what I'm saying? You can stay where you are. So instead of paying them, I would stay where I am. Now, you could as well take in a roommate. Now, if you're in an apartment, you got to be careful with that because, of course, in the lease agreements, they want everybody on the lease that's living in the apartment or home. So if you're going to do that, that person has to be a great person. You've got to know them because you don't want drama. You bring drama, you bring an eviction. Okay? You need someone that's quiet, that can get in and out, and nobody knows they're there. That's a little bit hard to do these days, okay? But I'm just saying that's one way you can do it, whether you're in an apartment or a home. Other than that, both names need to be on the lease. And always remember, when you give someone a key, they live there. So say, for instance, they don't pay rent the next month and you need that money and you guys get into it and they call the police, you're busted because you gave them a key. You have to evict them just like the apartment would evict you. So you want to be careful with that. Now, people who are in homes, same thing. People who have bought homes who are now finding themselves in the same predicament because a lot of people bought homes on an arm and the arm is due, that those payments have come up, they're higher, and forbearances, they're back. Now they're looking for that money. You don't have it. So do you leave? Sometimes you just have to. Just remember, when you either leased your apartment or bought the home or whatever, you were probably making a little bit more money. You're not making that money anymore. Okay, so with an apartment or leasing, whatever, you've got to show your income. And that's why I'm saying, too poor to stay, too broke to leave, because you don't have that kind of money. So I would suggest that you stay where you are and cut your costs. And when I say cut your costs, nails might have to go. I never got into that anyway. So, and the hair, you have to learn to do it yourself or go natural. I like my little fuzz ball, every now and then. I blow it out. It looks good. Shopping, let's not shop. Cut back on junk food and stuff that you're buying, eating out every day. Start cooking. You're going to have to weather this storm. We've got a while. Hopefully things change. But until they do, and I'm seeing the price of apartments go down. Now, there's one that's built down the street from me, and they wanted I think it was $2,300 for a 2 bedroom, and I could not get my king size bed and two nightstands in that bedroom. And the lady said to me, "Well, millennials or whatever they call them, they don't have a lot anyway, but can they pay?" That's the thing. So as I pass by their apartment, I'm not seeing a lot of, how can I say it, autos or cars under the sheds. People can't afford it. They cannot afford it. And U-Haul trucks last month was crazy. I passed U-Haul places, there were no trucks available. So people are putting things in storage because they're either moving to something smaller or they're leaving the state. Nevada used to be very reasonable, I'd say. It has gotten kind of high, and that's because a lot of people are coming here, and a lot of people come from California. But if you don't have a job, and of course, we run on casinos, and right now, it's slow on the Strip, okay? Despite what anybody tells you, I drove down there one night, and I drove straight through. I was like, whoa, these are the old days. So there's not a lot of action going on down there on the Strip. It is slow. So if you're moving here thinking you're going to get a great job and whatnot, it's not going to happen. And you got to look at everybody's being laid off. And people tell me all the time, oh, you could find a job, yeah, for $13 or $14, $15 an hour. That doesn't get you anything. And you're not getting any health insurance or anything. And so you got to work at least two of those to try just to pay the rent. Guys, you're going to have to make a choice. We're going to have to figure it out and get on to business. You might have to move in with somebody that you really hate. Well, not hate, but dislike. If you guys can get along to make it through this storm, you may have to do that. And or again, like I said, cut back. I'm going to figure out what I'm going to cook today. I make my own coffee. Just one more cup. Okay, because I'm not paying Starbucks and nobody else's bucks $7.40 for a cup of coffee. I can't do it. I just can't do it. Not when I can buy a whole bag of beans and take me through a month or a little over, depending on how I'm using it. We gotta start being frugal. I won't say cheap because that's not the right word, but we gotta be frugal. We gotta figure out how we're going to survive this. Anyway, I will be popping in and out and letting you know how things go. If you have any, please subscribe. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear how you're making it. I want to hear what's going on in your life. Subscribe down there, over there, wherever it is. And let's get it moving. We did it back in the day, Black Wall Street, remember? They didn't want us to have nothing, but we're still here. I'm just saying. See me here on my channel at Rosarita - yes, I said it - A to Z. See you then. Bye-bye.